Hi there, it's Tiffany from Daisy Farm Crafts, and today I'm going to do a quick tutorial for this very beginner-friendly half double crochet hat that I made with this amazing yarn called Karen Simply Me Merino. This is a 50% acrylic, 50% merino wool yarn. 3-weight light. It is so fun to work with. It is super, super soft and really made this hat, I want to say kind of like luxe. It is just so, so nice and soft. So anyway, they have a lot of different colors. I just did the gray willow, but I really am loving this. This one's called Caramel, really beautiful. And here's a purple one. Pale Wisteria, and they have other really beautiful colors on their on the yarnspirations.com website. So anyway, just added a simple snap-on pom-pom at the end. So, and I'll have links for that. I just get them off of Amazon. It's super easy. You can get a pack of 20 of them or so, all sorts of colors. So anyway, just very beginner friendly today. So if this is your first time making a hat, this is a great pattern to use. All right, let's get started. We are going to begin with 50 chains, and you'll want to refer to the size chart that is going to be on our website. You can really make this any size that you would like. This is going to be the size for the adult women, about a 22-inch circumference for head measurement, or make your chain about 11.5 inches long. So in case you do want to use different yarn, just make your chain 11.5 inches. It can be any number for this one. It's very simple, beautiful hat. All right, the first 5 stitches of the row are going to be slip stitches. This is the top of the hat, and it really helps to reduce the bulk at the top of the hat when you go and sew it together. So the first 5 chains to be worked into are slip stitches. And now we will begin with a half double crochet. And you will work 1 half double crochet into each chain to the end of the row. So if this is your first time learning half double crochet, you just simply yarn over once, insert your hook under the top chain or the top loop of that chain, yarn over, pull a loop back through, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Continue working in each chain to the end of the row. After you've worked into the last chain of the row, you can kind of take a minute and measure, make sure you did get the size that you want. Sometimes after you make a chain and make that first row, it can either shrink or sometimes grow. Depends on the yarn you're using. But anyway, I've got my about 11.5, almost 12 inches. It's a little bit bigger, but you can check that. And then I like to just loosely chain 1. This is providing height to the next row. So if you kind of just loosely chain 1 and then turn your work like a page in a book, we're going to begin working just into the back loop. And when I mean back loop, you'll look and you'll see two V's that are pointed at you at the face of the work. Kind of look down on top of the work, and I'm working into the one loop that's the furthest away from me. And continue just with the half double crochet. Now, if you are worried about finding the very first stitch of the row when you chain and turn and come back, I'd encourage you to just mark this very first stitch that you made. It really helps to keep your the base of the hat even, so you don't accidentally end on this stitch or accidentally work into the turning chain. So go ahead and mark the first stitch that you just made. Okay, I'm going to continue working in the back loop, and when I get to the final 5 stitches, I will work into the back loop with slip stitch. So here are the final 5 stitches of the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to find the back loop. And sometimes when it's this first row that can be tricky to find. So just insert your hook and pull the yarn back through. Keep it a little bit loose so they'll be easy to work into on the next row. And I will say these Susan Bates hooks are fabulous for a slip stitch. They have this point on the end, so it really helps you get your hook down in there on that back loop. And the bigger the hat gets, I promise you these are easier. It's just because it's the first row here. So here is stitch number 5. I might actually encourage you, just like down there, okay, give us a chain 1 and turn, and then work into the back loop of that first stitch, and go ahead and mark that little V so that on the return you'll know that that is the last stitch to be worked into. Sometimes it can be really confusing because the chain 1 looks just like a slip stitch, and the chain 1 is just simply there for height. Okay, there's my 5, and now we will work back loop, half double crochet into each stitch. It gives just, this is just such a great beginner pattern that looks like, kind of has that knit look, but yet it's really easy and relaxing. And oh my gosh, this yarn is so, it's going to be just a nice washable wool, and it's very soft and it's not itchy. For having wool in it, the wool is kind of giving it the bounce, but it is not itchy at all. It's very, very smooth and soft. Okay, so I'm just going to work until I have the width that I need, and then I'll jump back on and I'll show you a fun way to close up the hat. So the width of my hat, I did 50 rows, and it is coming out at about 15 inches. So like I said, this is the adult women's size. It's very stretchy. So you can probably just do about 5 inches less than your head circumference, and you'll be fine. But anyway, love this yarn. So all you're going to do now is we're going to fold it in half. Let me take this out. And I like to go ahead and do a slip stitch up the side. I've done all sorts of different varieties of slip stitches on my hats. For this one, I think I'm just gonna do a regular slip stitch. So you'll insert your hook under the two V's and across to the very first stitch of the row there, and just slip stitch this up. So I am going underneath the two little crosses on that starting row. So sometimes you can tell the stitch is right there, and then you'll see two, like a crisscross. So let me show you where I'm inserting the hook. So under the two loops of the half double crochet stitch, and then I find the next stitch and just kind of like enter your hook right on top of it. So just find the one that matches across and slip stitch your way up to the top of the hat. And then we cut a long tail and we sew the hat together. Okay, so right now I am just finishing the slip stitches and making sure I am matching the final stitches together. And now let's go ahead and tie off with a really long tail, plenty, so that we can sew the top together and have a little bit left to sew the snap for the pom pom on. Okay, so just pull through. And that seam looks pretty invisible. Oh, the other thing you need to decide is if you want this to be the outside of your hat, or do you want to turn it inside out? I'm going to turn this inside out so that seam is on the inside of the hat, because once you sew the snap at the top, you know, that's just the side you chose. So anyway, it doesn't look, it's pretty invisible on that side. So just play around with it and see what you want to do. So like I said, these are the snapped pom-poms that I order from Amazon, and the piece that comes off will be sewing on top anyway, then it snaps on really easy. So anyway, I'll finish the hat using the snap-on pom-pom. Otherwise, you could just close the hat and just have it be plain. You don't have to put a pom-pom on at all. So I'm going to thread the needle here, thread my tapestry needle, and then we'll work on sewing the top closed. So on this first round, I really like to try and get as close to the top as possible and work under each loop. And we'll go around several times. So on this round, really focus on getting the top loops of those first stitches right there. Okay, this is my second round. So you just kind of like gradually pull it in and then it get a really nice look to the top. So do it as evenly as possible. Now you can kind of see it close in, and then I make several more rounds going underneath the loops. Now here you're gonna probably have to change your size of tapestry needle in order to fit it in the little hole for the snap. So that's what I'm doing here is I'm changing out to a smaller needle that will fit down in the holes. All right, I found a needle that fits. So I simply thread it through, and I really want to place the center over the center of the hat. And my other thing I've learned by using these things, you really only need one pass into each of the holes, and make sure you don't go across the hole because you got to leave that open to put the snap in. I've done that. And so anyway, if the yarn is too thick, then the snap doesn't really stay on. So that's why I'm saying I just do one pass into each of the 4 holes and call it good. So now after I have attached that portion of the snap, I'm just simply weaving in the end on the underside of the hat, and we'll tie this off with a little knot too. Sometimes I'll just knot it around a section of yarn and then make sure it's secure. And go ahead and snap that off, snip this off. Okay, we've got that done. And I'm going to show you what I do to get the pom-pom looking really good. But I'm going to get that to snap on, make sure it fits, and I'm going to go grab a blow dryer. Okay, so this is just part of my little Dyson blow dryer that I have, and put it on a higher heat and just start blowing it, and it really takes out all of the wrinkles from the packaging and fluffs your palm. So do that for just a couple minutes. All right, and it looks really, really good. I think you're gonna love it. It's such a great beginner project. And again, I cannot say enough about how luxurious this yarn is to use. You look for all the links in the YouTube. If you're only seeing it on YouTube, you buy this on yarnspirations.com, or if they happen to be out, they also have a Karen store on Amazon, and sometimes the shipping is just a little bit faster. So like I say, this is the Simply Me Merino. I also do love just the regular Simply Me. It's a little bit thicker. You could totally use this pattern for that yarn too. Thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.